Hi everyone, and welcome to the Syncretism Society Virtual Academy. My name is Mehmet, and today's lesson will be titled The Holy Trinity Israel. So what we're going to be ultimately doing is breaking down what Israel means, or Israel, and breaking down the three syllables, and I'm connecting it ultimately to the luminaries, and also I'm connecting it to the Abrahamic religions, which is Judaism, Islam, and Christianity. And I'm going to show that through the Kabbalah and the Tree of Life, that these three religions are based on the numbers of 369. And we know that Nikola Tesla always spoke about the numbers 369, saying that how they're very important numbers and that they are spiritual numbers. And this is because in the binary code, you can't get 3, 6, or 9 because the binary code is about doubling. So you get 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, etc. So the numbers 369 are not in any computer operations, or like I said, it's not in the doubling system. So that makes the numbers of 369 more special. And I'm going to get into that. I'm going to kind of do a little series out of this. Today is just more of an introduction of Israel and what Israel means and how it connects to things in relation to gematria and astrology. And we're going to go through all of that. But what I'm going to do in the coming lessons is talk about, we can go into looking at the numbers more deeply, like looking at what number 3 represents, looking at what number 6 represents, looking at what number 9 represents. So yeah, this is obviously, as a lot of you who watch my work know that I'm into a lot of the occult and decoding stuff. And maybe 3-4 days ago, I was just having to think about something, and I think, oh wow, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam connects with 369 and Israel and stuff like that. So what I want to do is I'm going to bring my board forward now, and I'm going to break it down to you and show you that how I'm making my connections. So let me bring this forward. So here you can see the Kabbalah, or what is known as the Tree of Life, and you've got the 10 Sephiroth. And each one of these Sephiroths, which are the round dots, relate to a particular planet. So if we start from the bottom, number 10, or we'll start from the top, we'll start from 1. So 1 is Keter, and that corresponds with Neptune. 2 is Hokmah, which connects with Uranus. 3 connects with Saturn. 4 Jupiter, 5 Mars, 6 Sun, 7 Venus, 8 Mercury, 9 the Moon, and 10 the Earth. This is called Malkuth, this Sephiroth. So when we look at the 3 Abrahamic religions and we see what they're based on, they're all based on the Sun, Moon, and Saturn. So if we look at, for example, we take Judaism, their holy day is the Sabbath, which is Saturday, and we know Saturday corresponds with Saturn, hence the word Saturn's day. And we know that through occultism and theology, Saturn corresponds with El, because El in gematria, as you can see up here, corresponds with 3, because L is the 12th letter in the English alphabet. It's the 12th letter in Greek, Hebrew, Arabic. It's the 12th letter in many languages. So L corresponds with Saturn. And like I said, and Judaism corresponds with the Sabbath, and the Sabbath is Saturday, their holy day. So number 3, which is Saturn in the Tree of Life, corresponds with Judaism. And then we go to Christianity. Well, Christianity is based on Jesus and the Son. God's son, so to speak. And if we look here in the 10 Sephiroth, the sun corresponds with the number 6. And also, I forgot to say, in Judaism, Binah, which is the Sephiroth of Saturn, corresponds with understanding, because that's the crown chakra, Saturn up here, the top, Father Time. Whereas Christianity, the sun, corresponds with the soul and the heart, basically. That's why Jesus is always pointing to his heart in a lot of the biblical stuff. And obviously, the Sephiroth number 6 in the Tree of Life is Tiferet, which is glory, and the holy day for Christianity is Sunday. So again, that corresponds there. So we know that on top of mosques and in the Islamic religion, they follow a lunar calendar, and it's based mainly on the moon. And if we look on the Tree of Life, the moon is number 9. And obviously, those who know or those that may not know, in the chakra system or the rainbow system, blue is at the top and red is at the bottom. So this would be the root chakra, and this would be the crown chakra. So there you can see, by connecting the luminaries that correspond with each religion, on this Tree of Life, it corresponds with 3, 6, and 9. And obviously, 3, 6, 9 and is a very significant cipher in occultism and spirituality. But it's interesting as well, if we look at, for example, Islam starts with an I, and Islam corresponds with the moon, which is the 9th Sephiroth, and I is the 9th letter. And then the same with L. We look at L corresponds with 3. So, and Saturn corresponds with 3. Obviously, Ra, which is the sun, it can correspond with R as well, but in this case, it would correspond with the O. So from L to R, we have the 7 planets. So we have Saturn would be L, Jupiter M, Mars N, the Sun O, because the Sun is an O, and it's the origin, and it's the one in the middle of the 7. Then you'd have Venus, Mercury, and then the moon would be R. And the same with the top one. So all the blues would be Saturn, all the greens correspond with the sun, and all the reds correspond with the moon. So again, another really interesting thing is that all these X is the 24th letter in the English alphabet. And we know that the sun takes 24 hours to go around the earth. So it's interesting that the X, all the green letters correspond with the sun and the X. And 24 also comes to number 6 as well. So, yeah, obviously the whole concept of Israel comes from the Egyptian of Isis, Horus, and Set, which is the same. Isis is the moon, Horus is the sun, Set is Saturn. The only difference which someone pointed out to me, they didn't point it out to me, they asked me the other day when I posted this on my social media. They say, oh, how comes Islam's holy day isn't Monday if it's based on the moon and it's Friday? Well, Islam itself is not solely based on the moon. It's based on basically the feminine planets. It's based on the moon and Venus. So we know that Venus corresponds with Friday, and also Isis in the Egyptian mythology corresponds with both the sun and the moon, depending on who you research. But ultimately, Isis or is corresponds with the feminine concept of the creation, which is why, yeah, it corresponds with the moon and obviously you can also look at this as like the birth chart, for example. So this would be the 4th house where the moon rules, and this would be the 10th house where Saturn rules, and then this would be the equator where the sun exalts in Aries. So you can see a pattern in the 3, 6, 9 as well. And also, when we look at that, the yin yang symbol, it's the 6 and the 9, and the yin yang is the sun and the moon, masculine, feminine, and we can see that here, 9 and 6. Other things we can talk about is when we look at the word Israel here, Israel in gematria comes to 64, which when you reduce that, 6 and 4 is 10, which would be this 10 Sephiroth here. And then obviously 10 then reduces to 1. But it's interesting that Israel comes to 64, because 64 corresponds with the 64 codons of the DNA, the 64 cubes on the chessboard or the black and white checkerboard of the Masons. And also if you add 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 all the way to 10, you also get 64. Yeah, like I've done, I've correlated Islam with number 9. When we see the gematria of Islam comes to 54, which correlates with 9. And yeah, I've just put, this is just an extra one. I've put God comes to 26, which is 8. And also God in the Hebrew language is Yod He Vah He, which is number 26, which also comes to 8. And another interesting thing, when it comes to gematria, the word Allah in English is 34, which reduces to 7. And like I said, Islam correlates with the moon and Venus. And then when we look at the tree of life, the 7th Sephiroth is Venus as well. So that is another syncretism there. And finally, when we look at the circle with the radius and the center, we can also get Israel out of this. So is the center, Ra is the radius, and L would be the circ L. And obviously this would be like the ring of Saturn, which Saturn corresponds with L and 3, which encapsulates everything within it. So then you got the sun and then the moon there. So the moon closest to the earth, then the sun, and then Saturn, that would, the L or the circ L, which is the circumference, would correspond with Saturn and the rings of Saturn. So let me just look at it, see if I've missed anything out. I've pretty much explained everything in a very short way. But what I'm going to do next week, like I said, let me just put this back actually, so it's not in my way. What I'm going to do going through this, because I've called this the Holy Trinity, this series, this one was just concentrating on the word Israel. So then what I'll do is next week we'll look at the number 3 and how 3 corresponds to things in theology and occultism, and then we can look at number 6, and then we can look at number 9 and all of the connections in relation to those numbers. So this was just like an introduction to what Israel means. Israel simply means the moon, sun, and Saturn, or the moon, sun, and the stars. And also, let me just again reiterate that the calendars which each religion goes by. So Judaism kind of goes by all of them, because like I said, Judaism is it's the father of them. It encapsulates all of them within it. So it goes by the solar and lunar calendars. They kind of join them together. And also they have like a year that starts in Libra where Saturn exalts, and then they have, which is their what's the word? The word's gone from me now. their you have a, oh my God, what's the word? There's two New Years. They have a spiritual New Year and a secular. That's the word. Sorry, it just went from my mind. So the Jews' secular New Year starts in Libra, and that corresponds with Saturn because that's where Saturn exalts. And Libra is about the judge and the people who give lessons and discipline to people. So they have a new year that starts at Libra, which is their secular new year, but they also have a new year which starts in Nisan, which is their spiritual new year. So they use both solar, lunar, and Saturnian energy. Christianity is mainly based on Jupiter and the sun, and Islam's calendar is lunar, but it's also based on the Venetian energy as well, and we can get into that in the following lesson. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I just wanted to keep it brief and simple for now, and then we can get into more detail as we go through the series. So like I always say, if you guys have any questions, feel free to message me and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Peace out.